back to the Fumble Live. We have some news to break down for you. We're talking about Cam Newton. We're also getting into some Ja Morant drama that went down this weekend. But before we do all of that, make sure you subscribe to our channel, tap the bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment below, and share it with your friends. Here is the Fumble Squad. You guys, I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward. Chris?
It's your boy Chris. You can find me everywhere at CK2K.
Happy Monday, guys. It's Jackie Ray. You can follow me everywhere at JRay the Fanatic.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Britt Johnson. You can follow me on all social media at I am Britt Johnson. Chris, I want you to sit up a little bit.
Right.
I am sitting up straight. I am sitting up straight. It's
you have this thing on the bottom of your chair that you can go up?
This is it. This is where my camera's placed. I don't know what it is about this program. Because then when I shoot my model thing, I'm like this, and I'm looking like this. You can't see me, so I can't keep moving the camera. Oh, no.
Oh, my goodness.
Chris will be the short guy
I guess so.
Right.
I guess.
That's hilarious.
Okay, so you guys have to discuss this before we get into the need to know news. Woj tweeted that J.R. Smith and the Lakers are working through the final steps of a deal today, and he'll be added to the roster for the Orlando restart. So it is official. J.R. Smith is going to the Lakers. Now, Jackie, I'm going to go to you first on this one. What are your thoughts? How do you feel?
I'm excited. You know, I love me some J.R. Smith. I didn't actually think that it was going to get done, to be honest with you. I just thought that they would have found some different options because he only played. He didn't. Was it like 10 or 11 games he played last? Okay, Devin, you're doing a lot right now. You're distracting me. I don't know what's going on over there, but
I started criticizing my own screen.
We're having an earthquake.
Right, I was like, should I take cover? What is happening? But he only played like 10 or 11 games. Right. And now he hasn't played since 2018. So, I mean, I didn't honestly think it was going to get done this quickly. I thought that we would hear a few other names before they finalized JR. But ultimately, he does have experience with LeBron. So I'm good with it.
Okay, so Britt, how do you think he's going to do on the Lakers?
I mean, I hope he does how I think he's going to do, which is not great because that's going to be better for my Clippers. So. But I don't want to like jinx myself or anything, so I'm just going to say less. I'm going to say less.
There it is.
Saying less. Well, for mine and Jackie's sake, I hope it goes swimmingly. I hope he does very well because I'm hoping to see LeBron and the Lakers in the finals. But yeah, that's the news. Chris, do you have anything that you want to add on that story?
Oh, I'm just glad my boy Earl on the team. I'm excited. So I just hope he does well. I'm excited to see what ends up coming from it. I think it's going to go a little bit of Britt's way, and I think it's going to go a little bit of Jackie's way. I'm just excited for it because I'm just glad to see him back playing. So I'm always a fan of J.R. Smith.
I'm going to send him a care package filled with pennies.
I don't know though. That's his like Super Mario juice. That like I feel like the more he drinks, the better he gets. I feel like when he stops drinking, then we have a problem.
Right.
All right, you guys. Well, on that note, let's talk about Cam Newton. So he finally received a contract. The Patriots signed him to a 1-year deal. We heard the Patriots in discussions about Cam Newton. They were kind of like a top contender, or people thought that they could see that happening. But some people think that this news is coming out at a convenient time. So New England's acquisition helped drown out the negative news about penalties they received following an investigation of the team's television crew. So here's what happened. The NFL announced they were punishing New England for illegally filming the Bengals sideline during a 2019 game. Their punishment is the Patriots can't film games in 2020. They lose a 2021 third-round pick, and they must pay a $1.1 million fine. But they're going to have Cam Newton, and I think they were hoping that would be the headline stealer, and for the most part, it was. So his contract went to $7.5 million. It's not a huge sum of money. I think we're talking about that later in the show. But I'm just glad that Cam's getting another shot here. So, Britt, I know that you've been a huge proponent of Cam getting another job in the league. How do you feel about his contract with the Patriots?
I think it's disgusting, honestly, because I can literally go down a list of second and third string quarterbacks that are making more than that. Taysom Hill being one of those guys. James Winston, who was a backup for the last however long, is making more than that as a backup for the Raiders. Like even Teddy Bridgewater, who took Cam Newton's job, literally signed that 3-year deal, and he's making about $21 million a year. Mind you, Teddy Bridgewater's been a backup for a long time. Cam Newton has never been a backup before. He's always been a starter. He's 2015 NFL MVP. So I think it's like a slap in the face for him to get a contract worth that little. Obviously, they were able to take advantage of the situation of him not having a job yet. But it really is, I mean, there's very average quarterbacks that are making $15 to $20 million a year. So to hear Cam Newton's getting like literally bottom tier of even second and third string quarterbacks is a slap in the face to me. I think it's absolutely disgusting.
So do you feel that he should have turned down this contract and waited for something better, or are you glad that he did accept the contract so that he's at least back in the league?
I don't know. I mean, I literally feel like there's going to be an opportunity later on in the season where, I mean, it's football. People get hurt, things happen, whatever the case is. So sometimes I think that you do need to sit out because you know your worth. And I think that goes with any job, like any opportunity. Like people don't just like take jobs just because they don't have a job. Like you should wait and get something that is what you're worth and you know your own worth. So I think that he should have set back a little bit and waited a little bit. I know the Patriots had also, Stephen A. Smith announced this morning that they were actually one of the teams that were looking into signing Colin Kaepernick as well. And I kept saying, and I know Chris piggybacked on that Cam Newton needs a job before Colin Kaepernick. So I understand like that part of it. Like obviously if I would have saw signed before Cam, I would have gotten really upset. But at this point, I don't feel like that was even quarter of what he's worth. And so I'm really upset to see that that's the deal that was decided upon.
Yeah, I mean, it was a huge, huge bargain for the Patriots. But I could see why Cam would have accepted it, probably just out of like desperation, because it's been such an unprecedented sports season in general. So I'm sure he just felt like the pressure and needed to accept the contract just to get himself back in the league. But who knows what could have happened if he waited. Now, Chris, I want to go to you. What do you think this means for the Patriots this upcoming season? Do you think that with Cam, they'll be super successful, or is it going to take some time for them to gel and find their groove?
I think if they play the same way that they play with Tom Brady, I think it's actually going to be successful. I'm just not a fan of him going to the Patriots because I actually like Cam Newton. I was looking forward to actually cheering for him because he left my division, and now he's going to that team, and I'm definitely not going to be cheering for him because he's playing for the Patriots. But, I think because of the way that they've been playing, I mean, Cam Newton, he's possibly has the ability to be able to throw deep again, but you haven't seen that in his last few years. So they're probably going to, treat his routes and treat how he plays quarterback position the way that they did with Tom Brady, because Tom Brady, as great as he is, and his arm strength isn't where it once was because, I mean, he's 40-some years old. So I feel like it's actually going to be a good combination of, the backs and the team that they got. I think it'll actually work. Like I said, I'm just upset that it's the Patriots. That's my biggest thing. And to piggyback off of what Britt said with the financial thing, I think he definitely should have gone way more money. I just feel like I think he did the best of that situation because he made it this far without even getting any contract in general. At least he went to a place where he has the potential to win. And I think that this fit will help him then next season, possibly get paid after having probably a good season with the Patriots, and hopefully he'll be getting paid somewhere else and get paid a lot of money. So I think that there's a positive with him going to the Patriots. It's just I'm just not a fan of him going to that team. That's a personal thing though.
There's a lot of mixed emotions on the panel today, and I completely understand all of it. So, Jackie, I want to go to you for this final question. Do you think that this announcement was made strategically to redirect conversations about the Patriots, from their Bengals taping incident to this free agent move in the offseason?
I don't think the Patriots care if we know that they cheat. They cheat. They know that we know that they cheat. So I don't think they give a damn about us finding out about it. So honestly, no, I don't think it had anything to do with that. I specifically remember Belichick saying, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. They don't give a damn about if we know or not. So nah, that wasn't it.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys, let's get into the second news update about Ja Morant. So obviously with the return of the NBA season, players have been worried about distracting the public from the protests and social justice movement happening because they don't want everybody's attention to suddenly go from Black Lives Matter to basketball. And the NBA has always encouraged their athletes to be outspoken about the issues they care about. And now, according to Shams, the NBA and NBPA have decided to allow players to replace the last name on their jerseys with a statement on social justice. This move is similar to a petition by WNBA players. They wanted to allow their athletes to put the names of victims of police brutality on their jerseys. Shams said that the NBPA sent out details about the plan to players on Saturday, and they're working with Nike to make it all happen. So Ja actually got to work pretty quickly, sharing what he thinks his jersey should say. It wasn't necessarily a joke, but it obviously, I don't think he's serious about putting this on his jersey. It was an NSFW, not safe for work message. And of course, it wasn't well received by everybody because people are so sensitive about police and these kinds of statements. But so he captioned it, "Nah, for real though." So yeah, it says F12 on it, and it highlights police brutality, especially in regards to the way Black and white people are treated differently by law enforcement. And then he later caught a bunch of flack for this. People did not like this anti-police message, and so he issued an apology that said, "My post was intended to focus on the bad cops who get away with the murder of unarmed Black men and women and those who continue to harass peaceful Black Lives Matter protesters." He also acknowledged that he knows good cops exist, but, quote, "There have been too many Black lives taken by police that could have been prevented. You may see me as just a basketball player and I may lose fans for taking a stand, but I won't stay silent. I so applaud him for using his voice and his platform to share something that he cares about. I want to applaud the NBA for allowing the athletes to put a social justice message on their jerseys, but I don't think that Ja needed to apologize or explain or justify why he posted that." So Jackie, I'm going to go to you first on this question. How do you feel about the NBA allowing athletes to promote a message of their choosing on their jerseys?
I think it's a good compromise. I think we've been talking about that. We've been saying that if they actually had a plan, if the players actually had a plan and they went to the NBA and said, these are the things that we want, then the NBA would have taken that to heart. They're always a little bit ahead of the game in that respect. So I think that the NBA taking this, preemptive strike and saying, hey, let's get ahead of this and let's let you guys do that. I love it. I actually love the message from Ja. I think that his publicist is going to say, hey, you need to apologize. Let me say this correctly. I think that there are good cops in theory. I don't think that there are good cops in practice. And the reason why I think that is because I used to work for the police department, so I'm not saying this all willy-nilly, but there is a certain amount of fear from the good cops to say anything because you could be retaliated against, you could ultimately lose your job, things of that nature. So whatever my reason is for not speaking up against the bad cops, I can't really give you a good cop stamp when you stand by and see these things happen, even though I could possibly understand why you do it. So like I said, I think there's a lot of good cops in theory. I don't know if there's a lot of good cops in practice. So I actually obviously the NBA is not going to let him put that on his jersey. So I like him putting it up there for fun. But yeah, I think the NBA definitely got it right. And I think it's unfortunate that the players didn't have a plan off top because they could have got this, putting these things on their jersey plus other stuff. If they would have said, these are the things we want versus, oh, we just want to sit out. This is my dad always says, if you don't plan ahead, you plan to fail. So they failed on that one.
Yeah. Britt, I want to go to you. Did John need to explain himself and apologize for that story, or do you think that only serves to validate the All Lives Matter group of people?
I don't think he needed to apologize for anything. I just don't I don't think that was something that we know what's going on in the world right now. We know what's happening in this country. We know what everything is about, and we know all this stuff. So there's no need to apologize. Obviously, if there's people in his age that don't like it, they're probably not for him. Everybody isn't for everybody, and obviously probably part of the group that is the All Lives Matter, or Blue Lives Matter, or whatever the case is. And they ain't his people. So if they don't understand why he said that and there's no, you can't apologize to somebody who just doesn't even understand. They're like oblivious to what's going on in this world. So yeah, that's all I have to really say about it.
I don't recommend looking at the replies to that tweet. It was,
I did, and it was disturbing.
Oh yeah.
So disturbing.
Infuriating.
Mm-hmm.
Hated it. Okay, Chris, before we move on, I just want to go to you. Do you feel like Ja's apology was issued because he felt he needed to, or do you think it was a direct order from the league or his PR company? Yeah, is it possible that the NBA stepped in even though they encouraged their athletes to speak out?
I don't think it was that. Yeah, I think Jackie hit it on that. I think it was definitely the PR that said you should probably say something, it's going to be received this way. And even when he did say something, he still let his opinion be known in the apology. So he shouldn't have had to say anything. I do agree with that, but I still think Ja still hit him with the apology, but still said, but look, if y'all going to go, bye-bye. And I'm like, I'm cool with that. So, but yeah, I think it was definitely PR.
Yeah. I mean, it was like, I do like that it was an apology, but it was still like, but this is how I feel. This is where I stand. Yep. Yeah, that was good. Yeah. Okay, you guys. Final news story is about Pat Mahomes. So obviously, over the last couple of weeks, we've seen him become more outspoken about social issues and politics recently, and I know I love to see it, but some trolls are taking advantage of his fans. A news update started circulating online that claimed the Super Bowl MVP wouldn't play for the Chiefs unless they changed their racist name, according to Adam Schefter. So that was what the tweet said. It even included a quote from Patrick saying, "The term Chiefs is offensive to Native Americans, and I'm sorry I encouraged the use of it for 3 years. It's time for a change. Leaving a legacy is more than what you do on the field. I feel like this is a chance for me to make real change. I will not wear a Kansas City uniform until they change the racist name." It was retweeted over 1,000 times, and the responses ranged from proud and congratulatory to extremely angry, as you would expect. A lot of people caught on to the fact that the tweet was posted from an account whose handle was actually, it looks like it's Sports Center, but it's Sprott Sendler. Others missed that. I have to admit, I have been fooled by this account once before.
Yep, got me once.
Proud of it. I'm not proud of it, but I was fooled by it. So, Chris, I want to ask you, even though this was just a joke, do you think that Kansas City should change their team name? I know how you feel about Washington. So how do you feel when it comes to Kansas City?
Yeah, they're definitely on that short list for sure. I think, we're just more outspoken about Washington because theirs is literally a racist name, forefront on all their merchandise, on everything. So I feel like that one is the one that is, more heavily pushed to be changed. But yeah, I mean, I went to, my high school was Esperanza, also KZ Apollo went there too. And their mascot was the Aztecs, and that recently had to get changed not too long after I graduated. And so I feel like for the same reasons, it would make sense for the Chiefs as well. But yeah, like I said, I think they're on that short list. I think that if the NFL needs to start, going through and taking a deeper dive into, what is okay and what is not okay. And I think the Chiefs are definitely one of the names that should be gone to, for sure. But let's get rid of Washington first, shall we? Let's, prioritize real quick. I'm sorry. That's just I don't know. I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah. Jackie, do you feel like this fake Pat Mahomes tweet trivializes the issue of racist mascots, or does it do a good job of drawing attention to it?
No, actually, when I first saw the tweet, I was like, wait, what? So yeah, it literally made me think, when I was, and this was years ago when I first, because, I grew up, in a football house. So Washington was a team that everybody hated. So we all said the name. And so then it took years and years before I actually ran into a Native American and was like, I hate that team and this is why. And then, I had to hear it from someone personally before I understood what it was. And then once I started doing my own research and I started thinking well, what about the Chiefs? But he said, now look, he's one person. So I think if you want to know if we need to change the Chiefs name, you need to ask a lot of Native Americans how they feel about that name, because I literally only spoke to this one person and he said he didn't have a problem with the Chiefs because the Chiefs is like a respectful thing and blah, blah, blah. But like I said, that's one person. So I actually, when I saw this tweet, I was like, okay, yeah, it's fake because this is the same account that got me last time. You're not going to get me again. I saw it. But it did make me think, and it did make me have that moment of, oh, you know what? Maybe I should ask more than one Native American if, the Chiefs name is bad, so then maybe I would end up like Chris and they're on my short list. So even though it was fake, I thought it was cool that it raised a little bit of awareness and maybe will make people do more research about the topic.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. I think sometimes those satirical headlines and these satirical tweets can actually cause you to think deeply about things. So, Britt, like I was mentioning to Chris, we often discuss how Washington needs to change their name like yesterday. Do you feel the same sense of urgency when it comes to the Chiefs or even another team like the Cleveland Indians?
Well, to Jackie's same point, I did the same thing that she did. And one of my really, really good friends is Native American, and his family owns the Pechanga Casino and all of that kind of stuff. And he doesn't have a problem with anybody but the Redskins, not to say their name, but that team is the only one that they have a problem with. Him and his family. So again, I can't speak for other things, but I think the more and more we delve into history of stuff, a lot of things actually end up seeming and are a lot worse than we even know. Like even the word cowboys was actually considered a derogatory term because back in the day, once slavery was over, 1 in 4 cowboys were actually African American, and they were called cow handlers before, and then they termed it cowboy because they were trying to belittle the black cow handlers. So there's tons of things that we don't even, I just learned about that recently, so I think you have to ask whatever group of people that it affects the most if that bothers them. And so to Jackie's point, I think it would be a situation where you would, if you want to, whatever Native group is in Kansas City or whatever the case is, if you want to pull them, ask them what they think, because I haven't really personally seen any protests against the Kansas City Chiefs name. So I think once it gets to the point where if it offends a group of people and it's that group of people, I think that's just something we are going to have to address at that point. But personally, I haven't heard of anybody being offended by that. This was the first day even when that fake tweet was posted.
Right.
See, and that's crazy because my situation is similar to you guys because I have a friend that's exactly how I learned about Washington, the exact same way. Because in high school, I just didn't think of it that way until one of my friends he told me the entire situation. I'm like, oh, that's racist. And in his belief is different though on Kansas City. And he was saying that, that could be borderline, but he's not as upset about it, but he would like for it to be considered. So that's why to me, I would have it on my show. So it's crazy that, same exact situation, but flipped with the Chiefs. So that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Well, it's an interesting thing to consider. And, it's neat that this fake tweet is, causing these conversations. Sometimes that's, it's an effective form of, enlightenment and education. That
be good.
Yeah.
What was that, Britt?
Right.
News can be good sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, you guys. Well, that wraps up Need to Know News. So, Chris, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Ooh, that's right. It's time for Post Up with your boy Chris, Quarantine Edition. Now, we are starting off with the news that came right at the beginning of the weekend. We were officially given the schedule for the continuation of this NBA season, meaning that we are seeing the schedule for the 8 games leading into the playoffs. There were a lot of crazy speculations and controversies that were going on. Like there's the whole controversy about the Pelicans and that their schedule is a little bit too damn easy. Is that the NBA trying to get Zion Williamson into the playoffs? Also, then there was also the speculation because these 8 games won't affect some of the, marquee teams like the Lakers, the Clippers, and the Bucks. Will we be seeing, because it's been 4 months since these guys have played basketball, will we be seeing the LeBron James, the Kawhi Leonard's actually playing in these 8 games? Who knows? All kinds of controversies. But regardless of all of that, I'm excited about it. I'm sure everyone on the panel is excited about that. it's funny because, like I mentioned with the Pelicans thing, that was honestly the first thing I noticed. I was like looking at the teams the Pelicans were playing, and I was just like, because we already talked about that whole conspiracy here on Post Up not too long ago. So seeing that, I was just like, eh. But I did find out that the Pelicans already, even if nothing changed, the Pelicans were already, and we've talked about it here when we were back in the studio, Pelicans had the easiest schedule remaining to end out the regular season. Changes be damned anyway. So I guess they followed that same theme to hopefully get Zion in the playoffs or whatever. But yeah, new schedule is out. I have no no hat in the race because my Knicks are waiting on LaMelo Ball. Hopefully that we could draft them. But I know you guys all have teams that are in the playoffs. So outside of your guys' team, Lakers and Clippers, was there anything? I'm gonna start with you, Jackie. Was there anything on the schedule that you were excited about, or are you just glad to see basketball is actually coming back? Like, that's how I feel about it.
I feel I'm just glad. I'm going to watch every single game anyway, but I also am definitely going to watch that Nuggets Heat matchup because it's Denver. It's my, it's my hometown. So I shall be watching Denver. I'll try to find some. I have a lot of yellow, but it's all Laker yellow now, but I'll just try to wear it anyway to try to represent when Denver plays.
Just be watching a game like this, like, yes, you're covering up the name. So it all works out. So, Britt, I want to come to you because this is something that you mentioned a few times, and now we finally got the answer because we were talking about where are we going to be seeing these games? Like, are they going to be? Because NBA gifted us the what's it called, League Pass, so we can watch games that we didn't see in the past. Blah 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 blah. But now seeing this, I would say probably about 65 to 70% of the games are actually going to be televised. But I'm asking you now. I don't know how many of them are Clippers are going to be televised. But I'm asking you: is this enough, or should the entire schedule, the entire thing, should have all been televised?
I think it should all be televised because the number one reason why all the games aren't televised before, like just on regular TV, is because there's too many games happening at one time. But this like 2 games a day or whatever. Some games or some days obviously more, but the opening day is just those 2 games. And we don't have anything else to do. Why not just televise all of them? You guys don't have any other sports to cover. Like, just give us basketball, and it's just like a day of basketball. It kind of reminds me how the schedule is. It's like Christmas Day games, where it's like none of the games are really overlapping each other. It's just one game and the next game, just like Christmas Day games are, and we get to watch all of those games. So I assumed it was going to be like that, and I was upset to hear it wasn't. Obviously, they're going to just try to make their money a little bit more, so making people get the league passes or like whatever the case for the other games. I'm assuming they're going to televise all of them in some area. Obviously, they'll be like regionally televised, but all of us want to see everything. We need this action back. Shame on you, NBA. Hey, Leo.
Leo is in the house. You guys want to see what Leo looks like? Hey, Leo.
That is my segment in personified form. Post up right there. I respect Leo. But I wanted to finish it off with you, Devin. So like I said, because it's been such a big gap since the last time the NBA, any player has played basketball, and now when everything comes back in July, do you expect guys like your LeBron James or like Britt's Kawhi Leonard? Do you expect a lot of these stars that have their seats, like they're in the playoffs, they know that they're set? Do you expect these big all stars to miss some games, or do you think that they'll still be trying to play the majority of these games?
Ooh, I think LeBron will be playing the majority of games. Kawhi, maybe not. I don't know. I think so. I mean, I think everybody misses it. They're eager to get back into it.
Yeah, and to be honest, and normally if it was regular season, I don't really have a problem with it then. But I think now more than then, like if the Clippers know that they're second, they can be no worse than the 4th seed. I'm fine if Kawhi sitting out. We get why Kawhi sits out. We saw what happened in the playoffs last year, and I'm sure Clippers fans would be just fine if he sat out, and then they get that version of Kawhi in the playoffs. So I don't think there's a problem. Even LeBron, if LeBron proved enough, he played the majority of his games. He wants to sit out. I think he can sit out too. I know fans probably disagree with me. I get that, but at the same time, that's a big gap. And LeBron got the age factor, Kawhi got the knees factor, and there's other stars that have different factors. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. Maybe they just end up playing all the games. We'll see what happens. I'm just glad basketball is going to be back. And if LeBron sits down, that just is another reason for J.R. Smith to finally start as a Laker, and I'll be happy with that. Okay. Anyways,
wait 1 second. Can we just address this craziness? Because we've been talking about it's going to be the Lakers or it's going to be the Clippers that win it all. There is a comment in the chat that says, as much as I love LeBron, Lord, the Rockets are going to win it all. The Rockets.
State their government. State their name. Who said that? Why am I not seeing this? Who said that?
ALD Jazzer somebody won. There he is. He said, "Thank you, lady. It's Jackie." Can't give you no credit. You said the Rockets. Stop it.
No, stop.
They'll in the Eastern Conference, they for sure would probably make it to the finals. But they're in the Western Conference, so it's not going to happen. But the
small
Rockets,
ball stuff.
They have a squad. I will say that.
Not a all the way to the end squad though. That's a different kind of squad.
But hey, hold us to it. If they end up going to the Western Conference Finals or something like that, then go ahead. Give us the I told you so. But I don't know.
I don't see it happening.
Yeah, with PJ Tucker as your center guarding guys like Anthony Davis. I don't know how that's going.
Right, like good luck.
Right. Anyways, well, there you go. You got your time to shine. Now we're going to move on to the next one. Josh Hart, who responded to Donovan Mitchell. Josh Hart is actually close with Donovan Mitchell, but Donovan Mitchell put up his Jazz schedule. The very first game is against the Pelicans. For those who may not know, I've watched a good amount of Pelicans games along with the Knicks. It's nice to watch a team that's actually trying to be the playoffs compared to my team. So I watched some Pelicans games, and the few games that I remember are actually the ones against the Jazz because both times they played them were either won by a buzzer beater or went into overtime. And in one of those games, Donovan Mitchell tied his career high with 46 points. So Josh Hart saw that first game is against his good friend Donovan Mitchell, and he had some words for him. He said, "Hey, Don, I see we play each other. ... Try to go for 50 again, and I'm body slamming you." So I don't know. Okay, whatever kind of trash talk that is, Josh Hart, by all means, I know you're trying to poke fun, but okay, my friend. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that. I think it's going to be fun. I'm just excited for basketball to be back. I'm just so excited seeing the schedule because then it just like solidifies that. So hopefully, everything keeps going and everything goes forward. And I'm looking forward to seeing basketball. And Josh Hart already starting in the words of Weekend Zone and what Jackie called him, that's a good snapback. That wasn't even a trash talk in my opinion. That was like a nice little if don't drop 50 on us, Donovan, don't do that. Like that. But good for you.
We'll you have to do it with the list. What is wrong with you today?
Look, that. Because look at that. To me, that was such a whack. It's such a whack. I don't know. Whatever. I don't know. Especially if he's my homie, I'm going at him. Anyways, going from that very bad trash talk to a very bad haircut or lack thereof. Now, I've watched Jason Tatum from high school all the way to Duke to now on the Boston Celtics, and he's had the same haircut his entire, at least, basketball life that I've watched him. Until now. This is Jason Tatum, ladies and gentlemen. Can we get his haircut? And plow. Look at that. That is Jason Tatum. Now, when this picture was posted, I thought this was the before because it looked like it got combed out. He's lined up. So I thought that the barber was gonna cut it down and I was gonna see it after. No, there was a second picture, but the second picture was just this. The same hair. So he's done. So my man went to the barber and said, "You know what? One of my favorite players in the league right now is Trae Young. Can I get his haircut? Because that looking like a very Trae Young inspired haircut." And as you'd expect, the internet was not forgiving. They went in on Jason Tatum. They were saying all kinds of things. People were going off, all the GIFs and memes all over the place. But his favorite one was, he tweeted this, one of his favorite insults was, he said, "Yo, they post a pic of my curls. Somebody said, look like my pops own a bodega. Y'all hilarious." I think that's funny because I know he's trying to go for the afro look, but the afro ain't growing out the way that you think the afro going to grow out. So yeah, I think that's a good take there. But Look, I don't know what's going on,
like
but
finger waves.
like I said,
it's like it looks like when you put finger waves and pick it out.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Yes. Look,
he definitely wears a silk scarf at night, though. Don't get it twisted. He definitely wears a silk scarf at night,
right?
Or a bonnet,
right?
Oh my goodness, babe.
Bonnet for sure.
Yeah, for fact. I was just waiting for Trae Young to respond.
Yep.
If I'm Trae Young, I'm mad. Like, let me have my thin hair alone. Leave me alone. Let me have this, okay? You don't need to be jumping in on my shine. Like, oh my goodness. But hey, Jason Tatum, change it up, my guy, by all means. Moving on to to Damian Lillard and the Portland Trailblazers. Portland Trailblazers were celebrating the fact that their 8-year anniversary from drafting Donovan Mitchell. Damian Lillard was over the weekend. It was yesterday actually, and it was their 8-year anniversary. They posted this picture of him during media day when he was the day he was drafted. But Damian Lillard out here exposing himself, saying I had fake earrings in. LMAO. Look, man. You couldn't tell. I think it's fine, Dame. We get it, from look where you started, now where you at. It's all good. Laugh at yourself. I thought it was pretty funny going out there. Of course, the responses were like, "Oh, Dame, oh, you was broke." Oh, I'm like, yeah, that's cool, but I bet you his earrings ain't fake no more. So like, I don't know what you're trying to say. You sitting there responding with your fake earring. So, anyways, I thought that was funny. Good for Dame. I'm always a fan of people laughing at themselves, and yeah, that's hilarious. Moving on to this next one, Mikey. Now we talking about one thing where one person was poking fun at himself to one where there was a joke that was made in Mikey's behalf and Mikey Williams was not laughing with them. Now this video was posted by Overtime of him being gifted a new car. It's a brand new Corvette. It's a nice looking car. It's dope. Rah, 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 rah. Celebration for him. But somebody thought that they could take this video, the simple video of him receiving the car, and try to flip it into some kind of fake news as a joke or as a meme. And he posted saying, every HBCU can say goodbye to Mikey, LMAO. Coach K and the Duke staff just got him a new car. Now, I don't know if he was trying to start some fake news or he thought he was funny about that, but let me tell you something, buddy. Mikey wasn't laughing at it. He responded to him saying, I wouldn't let Coach K get me a car if my life depended on it. Thumbs down. I don't know what my guy John's thought process was. I don't know if he was trying to start controversy. I don't know what the thought was on that. It wasn't funny. I don't even think it was hilarious. I don't know. But Mikey Williams set him right in place. Everybody responded to him just like, that's right, get him, Mikey. So, good attempt and congratulations on the new Corvette. Good for you, man. It's better looking than my car. On to the next one. We got Jabari Parker out here being an idiot. I'm gonna let that sink in. Jabari Parker out here being an idiot. Okay, if you don't remember Jabari Parker, you should at least remember him from the fact that we just mentioned him last week, and it had nothing to do with him playing basketball. It was the fact that this man he tested positive for COVID-19. So when you hear that, more times than not, people who are tested COVID, they go and they isolate themselves until especially if you're asymptomatic, until it passes and you don't come in contact with anyone else. So because it's a very contagious disease, if you have not gotten that from this point, But Jabari Parker, I guess he did not get that because he was out in the public, no mask on at all, playing tennis, smiling and giggling, and got a worse haircut than Jason Tatum. I don't understand the thought process on this. Now, we have other players, like, mind you, it was only 16 of the 300 and some that got tested. But at the same time, like, I know he's on the Kings right now. I know that your team probably doesn't have the best chance. I mean, you're right there. You could get in the playoffs. But look, could you care a little bit more than this? Not just for your basketball teammates and you feeling better for whoever's in that park that you playing tennis with, unless you're there doing like a cartoon thing where you're hitting the ball and then running on the other side and hitting it back and playing tennis with yourself. I doubt that's a fact. So holding the ball that they're playing with. Oh, maybe that's what it is. I doubt it, but maybe that's exactly what it is. But anyways, Jabari, you looking stupid out there. So, Jackie, do you think that go bring Jackie back in? You outside of the fact that this is just complete idiocracy, do you think that he just lost his common sense? Do you think that there's a possible chance that this picture came out of him before he found out, even though it's being reported that it came out after that? I'm just trying to help Jabari on this one. I refuse to believe he is that dumb.
I'm gonna go with he was playing racquetball, and it wasn't tennis because we don't see anybody else in the picture, and I just know TMZ would have loved to have blasted the other individual who was out there with him. So I'm gonna go with racquetball for 100, Alex. That's my final answer.
Okay. And what's the sound?
Either that or he's one of those people like I met somebody that I was literally in the store the other day. I saw one of my neighbors was with their I'm assuming it was her grandfather. I'm not entirely sure. But he was walking around with no mask on. And I was like, dude, you're in the age demographic. Like, why don't you have a mask on?
Right.
And he rubs my arm and says, oh, sweetie, it's fake. So unless I had to go to the aisle, find some Lysol, spray it on my arm. So unless he's one of those people who thinks it's fake, because there's a lot of people out there like that. So I don't know. But I'm just going to go with racquetball.
Oh, sweetie, it's fake. All right. Thanks, Gramps. I'll tell you one thing. You just took Jabari Parker's shine, and even when it had nothing to do about that. Oh, my God. On that note, we're moving on to the next one. That is insane. Anyways, moving on to this next one. The student athletes of Kansas State are taking a stand. Now, there was a kid. Oh, my gosh. There's a kid by the name of Jaden McNeil who tried to make a joke and make light of the situation with George Floyd and his death. He made a joke, and it wasn't. There's no joke to be made around that. And students and of course, people were responding to that, responding to his comment, responding to what he had to say, and there were people that were on Jaden McNeil's side. So, to that, the student athletes and student athletes of Kansas State, they put together this statement to let Kansas State know that we've had enough of this. Like, enough's enough. Either you do something about this, not just him, but with the people that are also doing the same, that have the same mindset as him. Do something about that, or we're not going to be playing or doing anything for your school. They released a statement that said, due to recent insensitivity from Kansas State students collectively as Black student athletes, we will no longer accept these types of actions. If we do not see any change, we will not play or participate in any donor or recruiting events. A policy created against racism that will expel any student that openly displays racism on all platforms such as social media, school, Addyville, and sporting events. We also need to see student Jaden McNeil receive strong consequences for his insensitive actions. If these actions are not taken, it is a promise that we will not play. Now, I'm gonna go to our NCAA correspondent, the NCAA fighting correspondent. I'm gonna go with Britt, because when it comes to this fight against the NCAA and all the mistakes that they make, you were one of the first people I think about. Do you really think Kansas State will actually do something about him, as well as the students that share the same sentiment as Jaden McNeil, and they will actually try and make this right and listen to what they're saying? Or do you think this is going to get brushed off and they're going to call the students, I won't even say bluff, but they're going to call the students on their promise?
I don't hear anything. Was it just me?
Oh, yeah. I heard it at the beginning and then you cut out, Britt. Oh no. Are you muted? Oh no.
Yes.
Okay, no, it's not just me. There
we
go.
There you go. I heard a sound and then it stopped. Yeah, okay. Please. Okay, please. Repeat yourself. I was like, is it me? Yo, because you just cut out. But no one else was saying anything. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna let her go. Maybe it's just me, so I'm not gonna stop her on her thing. So I wasn't sure if it was just me.
Thank you, Jackie, for not letting me just keep going forever.
Right, because I was looking at Chris too. I was like, is it just because Chris was looking like, yep, Britt, that's right. And I was like, oh, maybe it's just me.
I didn't want to cut her off. I'm like, look, maybe it's just mine that's cut off. Britt, look, please repeat yourself about that.
No.
All right, bet. So then, okay. I apologize. I'll take that one. Yes, that's on me. My bad.
Okay,
yeah, you think they're gonna do something about this?
I do. Kansas State in the last couple weeks has even just been more proactive of even how they're dealing with their students with COVID-19. And when the football team, they had 14 players come back, test positive and stuff. They canceled everything.
Right.
Last couple of years, they've kind of been of colleges. They've been more proactive. They've had a couple situations over the years, and I feel like they've always kind of been proactive in that. Who knows? I can't guarantee this is something that's going to happen, but I believe that they will. And if they don't do that, I also hope that the students that said that they were going to not attend these events live up to that point too. So if they are trying to test you and call bluff, you better actually do what you said you were going to do if it gets to that point.
Yeah, you know me when it comes to anything that goes. You're right. The Kansas State has been taking some action on things, you know, in what recent few weeks and stuff like that. So I'm hoping maybe they hear them and you know they come to some sort of agreement on something. But yeah, if they don't, which I think they won't, like you said, I hope that the students live up to their promise and they don't participate in anything, you know, until something is changed there. So we'll see what happens with that. And last but not least, I want to tell this funny story from Joe Ingles. Unfortunately, Joe Ingles had his property defaced a little bit. And I mean with like spray paint or with like toilet paper, or his house was an egg. No, some dude came up to his front yard and peed in his driveway and peed on his garden. Now, normally, this would be like a ha-ha story or something like that, but normally somebody, you know, especially if they're a celebrity of some sort, they have security cameras. So for this dude to not think that he wasn't seen or whatever is pretty stupid. And Joe Ingles is making sure that he knows exactly who he is and knows exactly how. Well, this is what he tweeted. He put, "To the young skateboarding teenager that peed on our driveway / garden, just a heads up, but our security cameras see everything, face and every other small detail." So yeah, my guy, sorry, bro. Like he didn't think that one through. I don't know if he just hates Joe Ingles or this dude was just drunk skateboarding and was peeing on someone's front yard. Regardless, everything was seen, and according to Joe Ingles, it was a very small
barely
detail.
seen.
So I'm sorry, my guy. Yeah, barely seen. Right. Anyways, but yeah. So on that note, I do, before I send this over to Jackie Ray, if you guys have not been listening or have been following along with the live, I hope that you are in the chat. You have been. We are actually partnered up with EGI, and we're so blessed to be a part of this opportunity to help people who are wrongfully convicted, and they are fighting to be free and clear their names. The Fumble Squad is working to raise money for the Equal Justice Initiative, which is EGI, an incredible nonprofit organization that provides legal representation to prisoners who may have been wrongfully convicted of crimes, poor prisoners without effective representation, and others who may have been denied a fair trial. For the next, couple of weeks, we will be amplifying our voices here on the Fumble Live and share with you some of the many stories of wrongfully convicted athletes, activists, and people alike in an effort to shed some light on something that's happening in our country every day. Some of these stories you may have already heard, most you might not have. Today, I'm actually going to be talking about Rodney Reed. Rodney Reed has been he's been on death row for 22 years now. A year after the death of Stacey Seitz back in April 1996, the Bastrop sheriffs arrested Rodney Reed, who at the time was only 29 years old. He was charged with capital murder, citing that DNA evidence matched his DNA on Seitz's body. And though it wasn't really a lot of DNA, the prosecutors argued that it was enough to prove that Reed, in fact, was responsible for Stacey's murder. Rodney Reed has, like I said, has been on death row for 22 years and was luckily recently granted a stay of execution by the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals in just last November, just 5 days before he was actually scheduled to be executed. Unfortunately, earlier this year, back in February, the Supreme Court declined to hear Rodney Reed's case, saying that the trial court is in Texas will hear his case later this year in September. Rodney is now waiting for his new hearing, which will be scheduled to take place between September 14th through the 25th. And during that time, his legal team will have the opportunity to present the new evidence that they have gathered and all the points to Reed's innocence. Like I said, they're all preparing that. They have been preparing that. And this is why it's very important and very helpful if you guys are able to donate. Like we've said last week and saying right now, if you want to be a part of this movement, there is a donation link that's down below. You can send donations directly to the fund. You can do super chats. Super chats go directly to EGI. And if you want more information on everything, please go to EGI.org. Everything is appreciated, and it all is going to a great cause. So please support.
Thank you so much, Chris. It's always so important to hear these stories. And yeah, you guys, if you have a spare couple dollars, go ahead and donate. It's going to something really powerful and very important. Now, Jackie, you got my singing voice ready, because I need you to tell us what we not gonna do.
It's never the same. I don't know what to do. It's never the same. I love it. But yes, you guys, please donate. I can't imagine spending 22 years in a horrible system for something I didn't do. So please donate. But right now, what we're not going to do is really applaud this Cam Newton situation. I am to a certain extent, but we're going to get into that in a second. But let's just be clear. Andy Dalton and Colt McCoy are making almost $3 million more than Cam Newton is going to be making. That is shameful to me. It's shameful to me that he had to wait this long to be signed. It's shameful to me that the Panthers just basically used him up. And then when his body didn't work quite right, they decided to toss him aside. So I somewhat agree with Britt and Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman tweeted this. He said, how many former league MVPs have had to sign for the minimum asking for a friend? Just ridiculous. A transcendent talent and less talented quarterbacks are getting $15 to $16 million a year. Disgusting. I definitely agree with that. He definitely should have received more money because he's been to the playoffs 4 times. He's been to the Super Bowl and he's an NFL MVP. I don't understand how he ended up with such a low signing, but he did sign, though. This was his decision to sign. So obviously staying healthy in this business is a talent. And Cam has, he's definitely struggled in that area. I think a lot of that is, his coaching staff's fault, the way they coached him. His last 16-game season was in 2017 when they went 11-5. And then in 2018, he just missed 2 games because of an injury. And then he just played 2 games last season because of an injury. But he has been sacked a ton. He only played, like I said, 2 games last season, and he was sacked 6 times. And then between 2017 and 2018, he was sacked 64 times. That is insane to me. So while I do agree, I know we've been talking that, yeah, he should sit out. I personally disagree with that. I don't think that he should have held out for more money, because I think that the NFL is a what have you done for me lately type of league. And when you look at Cam Newton and his injuries and his style of play, I think maybe the longer he sits out, the more gun shy people can become, especially when you're talking about Cam Newton. So I'm not really mad that he took this deal. I would prefer him go anywhere but the Patriots. I think the Patriots are a problematic place to go because, number one, it's not, they're a little racist in New England. Let's just be honest about that. But it is a better situation. The New England Patriots were like number 10, I think, in the offensive line. So maybe he won't get sacked as much. So maybe he can produce a little bit more. And now his whole body is basically brand new anyway. So maybe he can produce now in a way that he couldn't in Carolina because he was always susceptible to a big hit. So I think it is a better situation for him. They have a little bit more weapons. However, it's Tom Brady and that fan base, and you're going into this situation and people are already kind of, hating on you in the first place. And if you don't produce off top, I don't know. I think it's going to be a problem for him, but his contract is heavily incentivized. So obviously they do want him to succeed. Belichick obviously wants to succeed without Tom Brady. So that's a positive as well. We know they're not opposed to cheating. So whatever they got to do to win, I think they're going to try to do. And so I am going to go with, I know I said that I wanted to hear from Colin Kaepernick as far as what he thinks. And I know that maybe I feel some type of way about this deal that he's received. But Cam does not feel that way because he tweeted, I'm excited as I don't know what right now. All praise to God. Dropping content tomorrow. I hope you're ready. Hashtag let's go Pat. So I think he has the right attitude. I think you want people like Richard Sherman, though, to call it out so people can see the BS. But I still think you got to have this kind of attitude and say you're ready to play. You're excited about the opportunity. because we saw 10 minutes after I got the notification that he was signed. 10 minutes later, I got a notification that he was starting. So they clearly knew what they were doing. They knew what the plan is. And we saw how this worked for Teddy Bridgewater, who was in a very similar situation. Although Cam is starting, this is his year to prove himself. And if he can prove himself in New England, I don't know how much he'll end up making next season. So I wouldn't have wanted him to sign much more than a 1-year deal in New England, because in my heart of hearts, I would want him to get out. But that's just me. I think this is an okay situation. Obviously, I don't think it's great, but I think it's okay, especially if he is okay with it. So I think we've already kind of heard everyone's comments on this one. So I don't really have any questions about this one right now. So I'm just going to move on to my next one, because what we're not going to do is not pretend that this COVID-19 situation isn't still very, very, very real. I just told you, some crazy old dude just rubbed all on my arm, and you couldn't convince me for about 2 days that I didn't have the virus. It was just it's just crazy. But here's the thing. According to the Center for Disease Control, there's a lot we just don't know as far as the long-term effects of COVID-19. One of the things they do say is people with who battle it and like they're down for a while, that those patients can develop acute respiratory distress syndrome, which is ARDS, and they could have a greater risk for health issues down the line. They also say that people requiring intensive care are at risk for mental health issues like post-traumatic stress syndrome. China is obviously doing extensive research on the long-term effects of this, and they have found that 36.4% of people who are hospitalized because of this develop neurological issues. So that is concerning to me, because I just don't, if we do get it, we don't know what's going to happen to us down the line. And now with that, Rudy Gobert, we know that he's patient zero for the NBA as far as them shutting down on March 11th. He told a French sports publication, he said, quote, "The taste has returned, but the smell is not 100%. I can smell the smells, but not from afar. I spoke to a specialist who told me that it could take up to 1 year before he can smell things again." I don't like this. I know we're going to be set in a bubble, and I know we've all talked about how this is probably one of the safest places for these players to be as far as them versus us. You know, this is a safe place to be. I don't think the bubble is going to be that safe. I've said that time and time again, that I don't think the bubble is going to be that safe. Obviously, Utah is going to be playing, but they are going to be doing it without Bogdanovich, who is out with a wrist injury. So I don't know if it's worth it, because you're already still suffering from aspects of this virus. I don't know if it's worth it for him to do anything other but continue to quarantine himself until he really gets healed. Obviously, if it legit takes a year for him to be completely recovered, I don't think he should do that. But I don't think he should play. This is his extension year. He's got a lot to live up to right now, and healthy. It's completely healthy. So Chris, my question is for you. If it was you, forget the NBA and the fact that we want them back. If it was you and you still had lingering symptoms from this virus, would you play?
That is such a good question. I mean, because obviously I'm gonna want to play, but I think
I know you want to, but
out of safety, I don't know, because even you can't say, well, if the doctors say it's fine, then I'll do it, because the doctors don't necessarily 100% know. So I don't know. I think out of safety for everyone else, and like you just said, and out of not wanting to, infect the bubble, I think I would have to, take myself out of the equation if I'm still feeling symptoms, months later when I was, tested positive in March. So I think, the unselfish thing to do would be to just keep myself out of it just in case. Yeah, for sure.
I don't think
because that's scary.
Yeah, he's definitely got the antibodies, I think, and so he's not contagious to any of his other players. My thing is, if he's still showing symptoms from the virus, we're doing all this research that shows that we don't know the long-term effects. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I'm not going to put myself in a situation where I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I would do it. I'd want to.
Yeah.
But especially if I don't have Donovan with me, and so I'm probably not going to. I don't have my full squad with me anyway. How relevant am I going to be? I don't know. I don't know if I would do it.
And you definitely would want to, because then you're testing negative now, because you're not, like you just said, antibodies and everything like that. But if you're still, I don't know, it's such an unknown thing to be like, well, I can't smell, but at least I'm not contagious, so let me play. You don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't know. That'd be a hard one for me. I would really have to be sitting down thinking about that one, because that's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah, he's clearly not a hypochondriac, because hypochondriacs, when we go on to WebMD, we don't want to leave the house. So he clearly hasn't read any of the long-term effects that are possible. So, all right, that's all I have for what we're not going to do. So now it is time for Brit's Takes.
Brit's Takes.
Thanks, Chris. So I'm going to run through this really quick. I know we're already out of time. So Morehouse College actually decided to cancel their fall sports. This included cross country and football. Morehouse President David A. Thomas saying this in their statement: like all the decisions we've made related to 19, this was a difficult one, but was made with the health and well-being of our students and community in mind. This is actually the first football scholarship program to decide to sit out the 2020 season. There was another school that decided to do it too. It's Division III. This is a Division II school. Morehouse actually does participate in NCAA. So they play NCAA for their football sports, and then they play in another division for cross country. So the reason why they said they were doing this cancellation, most importantly, was it just can't be monitored. Basically, they're going to be going to other schools in NCAA that have different rules and different guidelines that they go by. And so they're putting their players and faculty at risk going to other programs. And then also they're going to have to deal with programs coming to their schools. And then where their school is in Georgia just isn't really like a place that's a good destination to keep safe. And there's a lot of people coming in and out of that area and stuff. So they just thought it would be too difficult to monitor it as far as going to play at other schools, and then even having other schools come to them, because again, they all have different protocols and stuff. So at first glance, and again, I'm not a title reader, so I don't just go off the, reading of the title. I actually thought this was a good idea. I thought it showed that they were putting their players first, and their health was more important than, making money, because obviously we know football programs across the board technically make the most money for most schools, as far as, their scholarships, grants that they're given, being televised, tickets, all of that stuff. Football kind of generally across the board brings in the most money for colleges. So I like that they were putting their athletes first before, making money, which is why kids like Mikey Williams, it was a big thing when he said that he possibly wanted to go to an HBCU, because let's move those dollars to Black colleges, because historically Black colleges take care of their Black students. Surprise, surprise. So the president went on to say this: I know this news will be most disappointing to our scholar athletes, especially our seniors. I can only ask for your understanding and respect for the fact that the college is prioritizing your health and safety ahead of everything else. So then I was like, oh my gosh, the student athletes, what happened with them and how did they take this and all this kind of stuff. So then I started researching, and then I looked up a bunch of the players on Twitter. And according to a lot of and alum that used to go to the school, Morehouse did not tell the football players that they were canceling the season before releasing this statement, which made me so mad, because I'm sitting here trying to be like, yes, let's have kids go to HBCUs and do all this kind of stuff. And then you literally did not even tell your players what was going to happen before you just released the statement. All the players found out on ESPN with everybody else. They had no idea that their season was going to be canceled. And then especially thinking of those seniors and stuff who had this whole plan of okay, next year I'm going to be trying to enter into the draft, or whatever the case is. Granted, Moore hasn't produced a ton of athletes that transition to the professional level as far as NFL, but a lot of them go to the CFL and play in Canada and stuff like that. So it was really surprising to hear that the school did not tell the students at all what was happening. They did mention that they were going to honor all the scholarships, which give all the players another year to play, basically like a white shirt or whatever. But it's kind of like, you know how football is, like the older you are, like you don't have like that long as far as careers are concerned. So maybe guys that thought that they were going to enter into the draft at 22, 23 is just putting them a little bit older. It's pushing them out. Then them taking, they didn't have a chance to now decide like, oh, maybe I'm going to go play at another school, or like, let me go see what I can do and have a plan, because their season was supposed to start like September 9th, I think. So it was like, they were literally supposed to start attending training camp in next week, and this announcement happens. And of course, they feel left out of everything because this is the only school that has decided to do this so far. So like all these players could have had other options. And as much as we're trying to tell kids that they need to go to HBCUs now, this I thought was such a negative light to the HBCU program, because they didn't even acknowledge and tell the students what was happening. So on one side, I get that they cared about their health and stuff, but they didn't even like care enough to tell the players about it first. I'll just ask a really quick question. This is to Jackie. So at the end of the day, do you still think that this is a positive thing for the school that they kind of decided to put the players' health first? Or do you think that this will actually have a negative impact because how they decided to go about it with not letting the students know before they release the statement?
I mean, it's definitely negative. Don't put me first before you talk to me. I mean, that's just kind of weird, you know. I think so. I the fact that that's got to be I can't even imagine. That's the worst way to be sitting around having, probably making plans as we speak of what you're going to need, how you're training, or even being at the gym on a treadmill and then happen to have ESPN on, and then you see this and you're like, wait, what? Like, that is the absolute worst. And if they're the only school that's doing it, I don't know if they're trying to be at the forefront of something, but they definitely missed it. If you're going to put the players first, put the players first and talk to them first. This is terrible. This is awful.
Yeah, it was sad. But that is Britt's take. I know we went over on time. Sorry, guys. But HBCUs, we're rooting for you guys, but you all need to do better. If you guys want to go to these schools, you need to make sure that they feel comfortable in a situation, and they're not going to miss out on their season without you having to talk with them about it first. So that was a big miss, especially since they've been getting momentum now of like players and kids like Mikey Williams and stuff saying that they want to go to HBCU, but then it's like, okay, now Mikey might be like, oh shit, well, like I want my cancel and nobody tells me about it. So they lost a lot of points on this one with me. I'm disappointed in you because I was rooting for you guys.
I feel like we need Tyra Banks from that season of America's Top Model. I was rooting for you.
Rooting for you.
Right.
Like, I've never watched America's Top Model.
No, I've seen the meme everywhere. No, I've seen the meme.
I love it. All right, you guys. Well, that's our show for the day. We're going to be back again tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So set an alarm, get your reminders going. Make sure you tune in, subscribe, and tap the bell so you get a notification whenever we do go live. Leave a comment below and share this video with your friends. And we will see you tomorrow. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, okay.
Everything.
That's a lie. That's a lie.